This one it is called Do Not Disturb My Circles, Part 2. So, 4 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. That's about it. That's about how many minutes takes the ice skating routine. I looked at a few and there are not longer than that. This is the interval of time when they have the immense courage and amazing skills to show their grace and their beauty to you, to us. Yet behind those 5-6 minutes, there are tens of thousands, literally tens of thousands, of training hours, year after year after year of improvement, in order to be able to achieve that kind of perfection. Yet, most of the time, we don't see that kind of effort. We don't know about it. All we see is those 4, 5, 6 moments of beauty with the music, with the movement, with the beautiful costumes, with the jumps, with the emotion, with the tears, literally. At Hollywood, sometimes is the documentary of the making of a particular movie is more interesting, or at least as interesting as the movie itself. I thought about that if those athletes from the Olympics will document their journey, which some they did, those documentaries those films are as interesting or even more meaningful and interesting than those 4, 5, 6 minutes, the performance there. The road to the Olympic, the journey to be there and to be able to perform at that level is a human story, is a profoundly meaningful and inspiring kind of story. If we'll see those kind of documentaries and movies, maybe we'll have a better understanding, a better consideration about them, about their work, their sacrifice, their skills. They are there only for us, for you, to amaze us, to entertain us. As I said, to show their grace. And with immense perseverance, to be on top of the podium, to win the gold medal or a medal, and to bring honor to their countries. And yes, there is that superb, inspiring moment when you hear the national anthem. Yet, as an engineer, I know that that moment on top of I have seen it on TV, it's also a matter of minutes, 2 minutes, 3 minutes. In order to stand there, there is the effort, the perseverance, the pain, the stress, the mental anguish, the sleepless night, the repetition again and again and again to be able to perform. And yet we too often forget that there are not only athletes, but they are human beings persons, teenagers, sometimes that young, teenagers or young athletes there with their souls, their minds, their dreams, their fears. And as I see on TV, sometimes the way you treat them is appalling. The way you treat them is profoundly unpolite. It was a lot of talk about being polite, profoundly unpolite, and profoundly unfair. I wrote here the word appalling. I think it's appropriate. I spoke in my first video about the Olympics being left to be exactly that, to be about the athletes and their skills and beauty. The rest, the politics, the geopolitics, the rivalries between the nation, the grievances between the nations, between the East and the West, the military standoff should have been left outside of the Olympic Games. It is obvious, more than obvious, that this is not the case. That's why I felt that today, even that I have other subjects to talk about for a week now, I thought that I need to make a second video with the same title. Do not disturb my circles. First, it was the diplomatic boycott about the games, even before the games started, the Olympic Games in Beijing. And the discussion about the terrible expression of genocide games. It's unbearable to think about that. About the situation with the Uyghurs in Xinjiang. And there is the controversy about allegedly sex assault of a Chinese tennis player by a high-ranking Communist Party official, retired, but that's not the point. And this controversy split the IOC, International Olympic Committee, and the Women's Tennis Federation. They have two opposite kind of feelings about that and official position. They gave even more material to the Western media to circulate in their news cycles. Because, in my opinion, this is all about. To cover the news cycle, when the Chinese were sharing to the world about the preparation and the Olympic Games, the Western media want to change that, to change the conversation of something antagonistic and more convenient to them. It is a historical thing, the fact that Beijing was able to hold the Summer Olympic Games and the Winter Olympic Games in the same city is the first time. And yes, it is historical. I said in my previous video that all these subjects are important, like human rights, sex abuses, the situation with the Uyghurs in Xinjiang and other minorities in other parts of the world. They are all very important. I hear them on the news all year round, yet there are only 16 days when the Olympic Games took place in an entire year. I said let those 16 days to be about the Olympics, and the rest of the year we can fight for human rights, or actually very straight and direct, they can fight their propaganda wars, they can fight their accusation, their denials, their misinformation, the fight between the East and the West as usual, because this is all they do. This is all they do. It is common sense that if you care so much about human rights, you should care about that issue every day of the year and in any place on the face of this planet, like Romania, like right here, on this chair, in this room. Yet apparently nobody cares about that. Nobody hears, nobody knows about that. I'm not gonna talk more about this subject. I would need 1 day, 2 days of clear head and peaceful time to sit down and write and articulate all the situation, to debrief myself with all the situation that happened here in the last 8 years. Today is about the Beijing Olympic Games and the propaganda wars that there are going on exactly in those 16 days. It is common sense that if you care so much about sex assault, and you should, it is important to be investigated in China as well in the United States. Yet, in the news, in the last year or something like that, there appear hundreds of cases of came to light of sex abuses and show a very strange culture of silence, complacency, and cowardness. I'm talking the well-known cases now of the casting couch at Hollywood, the well-known cases from TV personalities at Bill Cosby, the well-known cases of sex abuse in politics like finance and judges like Jeffrey Epstein situation, the well-known cases of systemic abuse of kids in the boy squads, the well-known cases of systemic abuse of women in American universities, the well-known cases and profoundly shocking human being level of the abuse of young boys and girls in the Catholic Church in United States but also in Europe and in other parts of the world. There is no surprise about all of those hundreds of thousands of cases. The phenomenon is systemic. That's profoundly shocking. If one case there, if a TV personality went overboard and jumped on a colleague, would be terrible, but it is one case, one situation, yet the abuses were systemic. This is no surprise about, for me, now that I learn about the situation in UK when the most heinous kind of pedophile was consistently invited to the Christmas dinner of the Prime Minister Thatcher of the Great Britain in a inverted and perverted kind of ritual of a man with white hair, a perverted kind of Santa that instead of bringing kids gifts, he was abusing them, talking about Satanism and the cult, is right here. This case is very illustrative for about what I'm talking about. It is well known now that he has a double life. In the eyes of the public, he was a TV personality, a DJ, and he was raising money for charities to help the kids in need. So, behind the scenes, he was hurting kids, many kids, hundreds of kids, systematically for many years, and nobody was able to find out about it. Nobody checked, did a background check about him. Even when he was at the highest level of the United Kingdom, even when he was on TV, on BBC, even when during Christmas, when the allegation surfaced, the BBC decided to air not the allegation, or at least to abstain for a while, but were a laudative kind of documentary about him. And later on, he was knighted. He became a sir, even that there was an explicit kind of letter showing the reasons why this shouldn't happen. Yet, some high-level politician insisted, like the prime minister insisted, no, he's good, he's good. Why? Obviously, there is an occult. There is no rational reason, but an occult kind of reason about that. No surprise about the systematic sexual abuses, as in my country, Romania, human trafficking is going back years and years, more than 20 years in some parts of Romania, and the network are so well organized that Romania is the second country in Europe after Nigeria in supplying sex workers to your beautiful cities all over Europe. And apparently in Romania nobody knew about it. When tragedy happened, it was a surprise. Oh, we didn't know about it. For 20 years, nobody had a hint about something very bad happened there in the area. And what all of this, Leo, have to do with the Olympic Games? Excellent question. That's an excellent question. This is the point. Nothing of this had to do with the 5 circles and the spirit of the Olympic Games. That's precisely my point. These are separate kind of subjects to be discussed in separate kind of situation, days, news cycles. I have a question myself. What was the relationship between 130,000 troops at the Ukrainian border and the standoff between Russia and the rest of the Western world, and a 15-year-old Russian skater that jumped up in the air and rotated 4 times for the very first time in the history of her sport? What is the connection between those? Some will say there is no connection. I argue the difference here. It is not the first time. It is not the first time, and I am getting angry slowly but surely. It is not the first time. When the grievances in the world, in the big powers of the planet, are played during the Olympic Games or in sports. Do you remember the historic rivalry between the United States of America, the hockey games, and Russia during the Cold War? Well, I would argue that was a historic moment when the Russians played the Americans, yet it was way better than fighting with their missiles in Turkey, in Italy, in Cuba, and so on and so on. I prefer to see an amazingly intense and charged, including politically charged, geopolitically charged, War, Cold War kind of charge rivalry happening there on the ice. It was an amazing game. I don't remember who won. It was an amazing game. Define winning. I know who won. Remember the Nadia Comaneci controversy at the Moscow Olympics? You don't remember? It was the Moscow Olympics, and the Western world, United States of America, boycotted because the Russian invaded Afghanistan in the same year, 1980. Let me refresh the memory, it's important. Let me see if I can find the article. It was open, but somebody nice in my laptop shut it down. I don't have that article right in front of my eyes. "1976 Night Summer Olympics. Comaneci Nadia was invited to participate in 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow as a result of the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan. Afghanistan President Jimmy Carter declared that the United States would boycott the Olympics. Several other countries also participated in the boycott, though the reason varied, exactly like today. According to Nadia, the Romanian government touted the 1980 Olympic Games as the first all-communist games. In Moscow, we walked, she wrote in her book, we walked into the mouth of the lion's den. It was the Russian home turf. Indeed. She won 2 gold medals, one for the balance beam and other for the floor exercises, in which she tied up with Soviet gymnast Natalie Kim, against whom she was also competed in 1976 Montreal Olympics and other events. Among the controversy, they took my article, huh? It wasn't my article. It's not here. Anyway, there the Romanian team chose to walk out of the games. Let me find the article. Let me work and find. Yeah, I have so much opposition today. When I was trying to do the speech, people were walking on the hallway. My mother went to the fresh market. Somebody brought her pension. Other people were speaking outside of the apartment. What a coincidence. Even the dog wanted to enter. Here it is. It is very controversial and strange that when I start writing this, I felt suddenly a kind of energy that I couldn't keep my thoughts together, even that I had two coffees, watching the videos and trying to put my ideas together. And after two coffees, after I saw the videos, in my mind it was pretty clear what I want to talk about and what the conclusion will be. And suddenly, when I start making the video, it was blank. So I have to take a notebook and write them down. It is strange that kind of energy that attack your mind exactly when you want to talk about something that is not very flattering for the Russians or for the Americans or this. The episode, it is in Romanian, so I'm translating. The episode of the Moscow Olympic was one of the most controversial Olympic Games in history. For Nadia Comaneci, that episode was a straightforward injustice because the Soviets wanted to win more and more medals, as especially the Western countries did not participate, including the United States of America boycotted that edition of the Olympic Games. So, even though they were the host of the game, the Soviets did everything in their power as Nadia not to win again the title of individual exercises, individual compus. I don't know how to translate it in English. The It was a huge prestige kind of competition. We, with a small country, we were able to compete in gymnastics at that time with the biggest powers of the world, like United States of America, Russia, and China. These are the most important countries there, not only, but of course, think about how many athletes they can select in order to form that top of the top of the top kind of team. We were a medium-sized country, a small country comparing with those titans. It was a huge scandal. In simple words, it was a huge scandal in 1980 in Moscow. It was 24th of July 1980 and was a day stained in infamy in the history of the Olympic Games, that one of great injustice. It was the title was stolen, as even the other referee that stayed neutral said it loud and clear. We know, not missing their words. The Soviets took all the measurements to get the gold. At the beginning, Nadia was in the fourth place in the middle of the competition, but she came back strong. It was another exercise with a parallel where she was the favorite. This time, a night before, she wasn't at her best, but this time she nailed it. She did an exercise that would have been quoted as 10, 10 out of 10. So she got another 10. There were two other gymnasts, Maxi Ganuk and competitors, and Elena Davudova. The German, uh, the German athlete Ganuk didn't want to risk too much. She did two exercises easier and not absolutely perfect. So she didn't count in the fight for the competition for the title, for the gold. In the end, it was between Nadia and Davudova, the Russian, the Romanian and the Russian. This kind of duel had, as I'm talking today, very little with sports. First and foremost, when Nadia was supposed to enter to the, how do you call, the beam, the wooden beam, she was delayed for Davidova to be able to execute her exercise, parallel exercise before the Romanian, so not to have the pressure of the points that Nadia would have. They went to the jury table to ask why she is delayed, and nobody was giving an answer. After the fifth competitor, Davidova started her exercise. We watched their evolution. She took out every difficult element in the same time, absolutely in the same time. When her feet touched the ground, on the electronic display was the points 9.95. The the referee is there, and other people that they saw that, they laughed and say they could have very well shown this 9.95 before she was competing, because the timing was very short. It was prearranged to have that kind of number. And then it was Nadia. The, the exercise was perfect, and the the point the points could have not been lower than 9.95. It was sufficient for her to have the gold. However, to the entire public dismay, they delay showing the on the electronic the points for Nadia. They delay, and they delay even more. The coach of Nadia was like a lion in a cage. He was protesting. He was trying to talk with the referees. Even the secretary of the National Gymnastic Federation, the Romanian guy, tried to figure out what was going on. So they delayed the points, the electronic, to show the points on the electronic for 28 minutes. Obviously, it's profoundly inappropriate. You see the exercise, what is so complicated? You give the mark, you give the points. It was good, it's 10. If it was not good, it's 9.98. If it is not good, it's 9.9. But they discuss and they discuss and they discuss and they delayed for 28 minutes. And in the end, They gave her some points to be on the second place. They gave her 9.85 after 28 minutes of debate. There were Czechoslovakia, Polonia, Bulgaria, USSR, the judges, and they talk and they talk and they talk and they debate and they debate and they debate 28 minutes and they decided 9.85. So Nadia got the silver. So the stupidity of that situation was that shown even here, the way the entire circus happened. The the boss of the technical commission of the feminine in the International Federation of Gymnastics, a lady, Ellenberger, came personally from the jury table to give the marks, the points to Nadia. He showed it to the main referee, and when she show it, the referee didn't want it to put it on the electronic for the public to see it. Refuse it. Refuse it to touch the buttons, those buttons, and put the note there. He said this is bullshit. Yet an older man came there and took the note 9.85 and an entire world looked in dismay the decision of the jury 9.85. That was incredible. That was impossible. The coach protested. That old man was Yuri Titov, the boss of the appeal jury commission executive of the World Forum of Gymnastics. How can you do something like that, the Romanian Yuri? The Romanian coach asked him, don't you think that the entire world will see this one? How can you compromise the Olympic spirit like that? You, once upon a time, you've been an athlete yourself, the Romanian coach shouted to him. But funny, the Soviet promised that Nadia will get 9.90. In that situation, they would have been both on the highest podium. They would share the gold, but it didn't happen. Caroli realized that the entire festivity was compromised, and he realized that the Russians were got the gold when the Russian flag went on the first, the highest, the USSR. The USSR flag went. After that, another 45 minutes, the scandal took place in front of the entire stadium and, of course, the entire world through the TVs. In the end, the Romanian Federation, the Romanian delegation refused to accept that and walked out. A reporter from ABC News from America asked what they believe about this kind of situation, competition, and they answer very straight and sincere. They have never seen something so far away from the Olympic spirit. Later on, Nadia recomposed herself and obtained the gold at the other two kind of exercises. At the Yeah, that was the situation. 28 minutes to be able to come to the conclusion that Nadia should get the silver. And another 45 minutes, a referee that promised that it will be split, the gold will be split between the Russian gymnast and the Romanian one. And then in the end, you see the USSR flag going up there, you look in dismay, and another 45 minutes of scandal and controversy. That was Moscow, 1980. I remember, I wasn't a kid, I was watching TV at that time. This is what happened when the Olympic spirit is not there. This is what happened when you are hungry and crazy about the medals, the number of the medals, how many. It's just accounting, simple accounting. USSR, 20 medals, Romania, 17, USA, 15 or 10. It is not like that. It is not, shouldn't be like that. It is, even today it is. Who is the best of the Olympic nation? You do how many gold, how many silver, how many this, you do the math, and that's the greatest nation in terms of Olympics. And but not only once the Olympics remain in the memories. Of course, the medals are very important, and that's the competition. But for those incredibly important moments when, for example, in athleticism, uh, they fall down and they walk together to the finish line. Those beautiful moments of true Olympic spirit and fair play. I talked about that, and then it was Sydney 2000. Then, to keep the story short, I'm not going to read another article. My translation was terrible. It's terrible. However, at Sydney in 2000, Romania gymnastic, the same. Romania gold medal, Romania silver medal, Romania bronze medal in the same competition. So all three on the podium, there are three Romanian girls. Yet another scandal. This time it was a doping scandal. The gold medalist from Romania was stripped of her medal. Funny thing, the gold medal was given to the second place, which was another Romanian gymnast. True story. That said, I didn't want it. No, don't give it to me. It's hers. She deserved it. What was the doping? I talked about it. The doping was actually literally a pill of Nurofen. Nurofen, that kind of Nurofen. I have some pills, Nurofen, that you buy from over the counter, and our athlete had some flu symptoms and probably a little bit of fever and something like that. So the doctor, in a most simple gesture, gave her a Nurofen, and then apparently the Nurofen has a substance that was not permitted there. But it wasn't a very elaborate scheme to defraud the Olympics and enhance the abilities like it happened in other sports. Uh, Very scientific, very elaborate, very kind of premeditated. For example, blood transfusions and other kind of very powerful kind of substances that literally there was a steroid in American football, right? And so many others. It was a Nurofen. Yet they took the gold that she worked so hard, gave it to the second Romanian lady. The second Romanian lady said, "It's not mine, it's hers." And what we need to remember that wonderful time that Romania was on the top of the podium, on the second place and on the third place. We are not at that level. In Romania, with the gymnast, we are not at that level anymore, but yet later on, it was an obvious controversy about that, and IOC never apologized for that. In simple words, bullshit. Why I'm talking about that? Because they are relevant with the Beijing Olympics, with what I saw yesterday and today on the news. It is a scandal all over, from CNN to China Global Television Network, about a legal matter of doping of a Russian gymnast, a Russian skater, yeah, a gymnast, a Russian skater, figure skater, 15 years old, that she made history, literal history. She jumped 4 times, landed, and then she jumped again 4 times. First time in history of the sport. Amazing, absolutely amazing. Looking into that, I could not believe that that 15-year-old was so corrupt and evil to, together with the team, to elaborate such a scheme to cheat the other colleagues, the Olympic spirit, and all of those things. And I looked today when I came, I said, okay, doping. I don't like doping in sports. Nobody should. I said that doping and betting industry corrupted the games, not a lot of games, the sports in general. Yet, when I came in the morning, having my coffee, I said, I typed in Google, I said, what was the substance? What was the situation with the doping? And I read an article being appeal for heart treatment and for vertigo, to alleviate vertigo. Is the heart and vertigo. Yet, that kind of pill and that kind of substance will increase the flow of blood in the, and that can enhance performances. Therefore, it's a forbidden kind of substance. It is on the list there. To be honest, I was expecting a very elaborate kind of scheme, as I learned about, and with all kind of synthetic substances, hormones, steroids, and blood transfusions. Said, okay, I'm not a chemist, I'm not a doctor, I don't know what is on that list. However, I noticed one thing, that number one was the Russian athlete, and number two were the American athletes. I said, okay, here we go again, look at that. Is it a situation where, again, the politics of the world are played in the sport arena? No, Leo, no. This will be so wrong. No, 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 for sure, no. This kind of thing shouldn't happen. And you know what? I agree, this kind of thing shouldn't happen. It's exactly what I thought myself when I heard the news. This kind of thing shouldn't happen. There are high organization There are checks and balances in place. There are organizations that they have that kind of responsibilities. Those kind of things not to happen. We are talking about a 15-year-old girl with an immense kind of pressure on her shoulder, with an immense mental anguish that she went through to come to Beijing and skate there, to compete for her country and for the entire world, to show her skills and her beauty. This is the reason why those kind of things shouldn't happen. I remember loud and clear the example and the signal that an American gymnast, gold medalist, herself being victim of sex abuse, the gesture that she did not to compete, to sit out for one day, raising the subject of mental health at a high level of sports and competition of the athletes. That was one of the most meaningful gestures I have seen in the Olympics, outside the sport, of course. It was very simple, and basically her gesture said, I'm not 100% and I need to rest a day to see this one out. Did anybody understood the meaning of her gesture, the symbol, the meaning, the human meaning of that gesture? Because it seems to me that they didn't. There are a few questions about the controversy with the Russian skater. The test that she tested positive was from December, was not from the Olympics, was before the Olympics, month before the Olympics, was from December. Why the results didn't come earlier? Why didn't come in 2 weeks, in a week, in 2 weeks, in 3 weeks? Like before she entered the competition at the Olympics. The timing, for me, the timing is very, very, very suspect here. It seems to me that the result of those tests from December came exactly when they were about to be announced and to hand them the gold medal. And then it was a legal matter, like it was made on purpose to disrupt the joy and the happiness, her moment of triumph, to disrupt the entire competition with yet another controversy, like they were not enough before the game started, to offer more material for the news cycle that I talked at the beginning of the speech, of the talk. And now we hear about the Russian doping scandal. The Russian doping scandal, the Russian doping scandal at the Beijing Olympics, the Russian doping scandal. Yes, I am aware that there are Russian doping scandals. That's why Russia is not there, was banned. But it seems to me that almost on purpose. It's another Russian doping scandal, and the timing is very suspect. In the same cycle of news, I saw a very stupid kind of banner. Now we talk about the Russian doping scandal. It was I don't have another word than stupid. Stop the genocide games. Very stupid kind of banner. It is just another coincidence, as in the same time with the Russian doping scandal, the Russian being embarrassed, obviously, that in the same news cycle that I watched, news program that I watch on TV, the other subject was the Russian troops sitting on the border with Ukraine, the Russian troops exercising in Belarus, and the Russian ships, six of them occupying a part for their exercise, a part of the Black Sea. Personally, I don't believe in coincidences anymore. It seems to me that there is another episode in the propaganda wars that started before the Olympics even started the Games. I think that those guys should be ashamed of themselves. They should, in my simple view, if in your training you train yourself hundreds and hundreds, literally, and hundreds of times, if you jump high in the air, to have the strength, the speed, the balance to go 4 times and to land gracefully at 1 feet and then to be able to dance and jump again and spin 4 times for the entire stadium, for the entire world to see you. You might need in December or before December. I'm not a doctor. I'm not an expert in sport kind of diet, but you might need a pill to alleviate the vertigo because you don't have a coffee, get on your skate and be able to go 1, 2, 3, 4 times, and then you have to repeat it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times, and you might get a little dizzy. If you don't believe me, try it. Not at home, on the skating rink. Try it for yourself. That's why it is history in the making, because it's so difficult. Personally, the way I see it, I didn't see any intention to compromise the Olympic spirit. I don't know about the heart rate and this and that. I have my personal experience when I played hockey when I was young, very young, a kid, not professionally, not. It was great fun, but I learned something, and it was great to be there. First time when I was in a team, practicing with a coach, with excellent. Before we have our hour of training, 2 hours of training time. They were the girls that they were doing artistic skating, and we were sitting completely dressed with skates, waiting another 50 minutes, 20 minutes there for them to get out of the ice and us to go and practice. And I saw young girls doing exactly that. Those kind of, not 4 times, 1 time. Jumping and falling down and jumping and falling down and jumping and falling down and trying to. Some they were able to do it, jumping and falling down, jumping. And I was dizzy only looking at them. Once they jump and do one. So that was my logic. I'm not an expert. I don't know the list of substances. I don't know the rules of the Olympics. I I read very little about the substance. I didn't spend 5, 6 hours reading in depth about that kind of substance, but that is the way I see it. I have a feeling that the timing is very suspect. I have the feeling that it's another part of the propaganda war, that what is happening there at the Olympics have a direct link and connection with the bigger picture geopolitical standoff in Ukraine and the West and the East fighting, Russia fighting with the rest of the world, the Western world boycotting the more or less the Beijing Olympics. It is the propaganda war that the Beijing had the moment for themselves of showing to the world another Olympics, another great show, another great Olympic village, and obviously advertising for their countries, and the other guys, they want to be on their parade, not to give them the space to advertise and change the conversation. As I thrown here about sex abuse, we can talk about sex abuse, but after 16 days. It is very important. I talk not only once. It seems to me that there is some kind of a resemblance with the Nurofen case. That's it. My question is like that. Was she under the influence of any kind of substance when she skated that day, the day of the competition in Berlin? Was she under the influence of any kind of substance that would enhance her performances? And in order to keep this speech, I have to have coffee. I had some tea, mint tea, and I took some vitamins in the morning. The multivitamins that you can buy there. I'm not a athlete, Olympic athlete, but I have to prepare myself. If she was not with any kind of under any kind of substance, the answer for me is very simple. I don't know at the Olympic level, but here the answer at this table, the answer is the gold is hers. And I have an immense respect and gratitude for the second place, the third place, for all of us till the last of the last athlete that was there to compete. There is no reason not to be blessed with all our respect and gratitude for all of them. There was another situation there that another skater failed twice. Not a big deal for me. Of course, some people were disappointed. My question is, so what? So what? There are the Olympic Games. She failed. Nobody was hurt. Some people indeed were disappointed. Yet, it is not the end of the world. Nobody was hurted. She failed. She stood up. She will be better next time. It is not like a fully scale invasion of Ukraine. It is not like the kids in Afghanistan were hungry, that they were hungry, and cold look at the Olympics and they say, "Oh, what a disappointed! Look at that figure skater, she fell." I'm sure you understand my irony here. Nobody was hurt, yet so many people will be hurt, so many families will be destroyed and displaced in a case of war. In the same kind of news, another athlete fell, and then you have the news of a possible invasion in full-scale invasion in Ukraine. That is very tragic. This is about a disappointment. That's a tragedy, that's a disappointment. It's a mishap. I look for the right, it's a mishap. There is another situation when an American skier fell twice in two different competitions. So what? I'm glad that she's not hurt. I know from my own experience, I skated down in Calgary. I skied downhill in Calgary. And after I skied there, they told me, that's the Olympic, the same Olympic slope that they have. Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, I'm glad. But the speed was very high. Maybe, I'm thinking myself, maybe the snow, it's artificial. And it was my understanding the artificial snow contains more ice than the real kind of snow. Maybe that would have been the situation when you didn't get the edge. Or maybe other very human kind of reasons. There are the beautiful games and should be and remain the beautiful games. And we enjoy watching them and the competitors, and they should compete. The one with the gold medal, the one with the silver medal, the one with the bronze medal, they should compete. But after that, after the competition is over, they should be friends because they share the same passion for the same sports. And the games are about friendship, should be. And I would love to see the Russians and the Americans, the Chinese and the Japanese and the Korean and the European and the Africans and the Jamaicans and even the Iranians. Apparently another scandal there. Being friends together because of those games. Exchanging the Facebook, what they exchange. Contact information and staying in touch, and all of them remembering that in the year of 2020, in the time of COVID, we took the effort and all the effort, the immense effort and the logistic hurdles to be there and compete, and it was a wonderful time. Should be a wonderful time. Or I was too young. I was too young to know about the Munich terrorist attack at the Munich Olympics, terrorist attack and tragedy. But the line, we keep talking about the line. Everybody has his own line. The Russians have the line of NATO. The Americans have the line. Nobody cares about my lines because as a human being, as a decent kind, I have my own lines, but they were long time shattered and disrespected. But the line, for me, the metaphorical line in those kind of events was crossed. And when that time I wasn't young, I was old enough to remember when I saw World Championship of soccer, of football, and the player was shot in his own country because he missed a penalty kick. I'm not going to say the name of the country. It's not about embarrassing them but for me that was the line that should never been crossed. Between the real life and the games, the Romanian commentators talked about this kind of terrible crime and the meaning of it, which is profoundly troubling when a game, sport is not only about sport. What have those two examples, Munich and the situation with the World Championship, soccer, football, what these kind of situations have to do with our common humanity that we talk about? In conclusion, stop, 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 stop those propaganda wars. Stop playing your political games. Stop whitewashing your geopolitical grievances in our lives, literally in our lives, on our TV screens, in the beautiful games, in the peaceful and beautiful games, and in the lives and well-being of your athletes there. Let the games be what they should be, a celebration of faster, higher, stronger, and most important of together. That is the new Olympic spirit. They add it together there, so appropriate. Do not disturb my circles, and if you do that, everybody is in a sense a winner. The athletes for being there, the city and the country for putting the immense work of organizing this in very difficult times for us, for them, for us. For all of us, we are a winner for being able to enjoy the show. Because at the end, the games, the Olympic Games, there are competition for sure, but for us that were sitting in front of our TVs, it is a beautiful show for all of us around the world. So sit down, relax, and enjoy it. Thank you.